Ah, look who crawled out of the grave. Look who survived the unsurvivable. You beautiful, untouchable, immortal masterpiece. You know what I heard? They sent their best after you. Their perfect record holder, their silent professional, the one who never missed, never failed, never left a trace. And now that same hitman is whispering your name with tears in their eyes, saying things that make grown men shake. Tell them, he's not human. Those were their last words before they broke completely, before they quit the game forever, before they realized they weren't hunting prey, they were poking at something that should have stayed sleeping. Let me paint you the picture they'll never show in the movies. This wasn't some amateur they sent. This was the apex predator of their world. 20 years in the game, 300 confirmed contracts, 0 failures. The kind of professional who could end you in a crowded room and nobody would even hear you fall. They studied you for months. Your patterns, your weaknesses, your blind spots. They mapped every breath you took, every step you made, every person you trusted. They had contingencies for your contingencies. They knew what you'd eat for breakfast 3 weeks from now. They were that good, but something went wrong, didn't it? The first attempt should have been flawless. You were supposed to be gone before you even knew danger was coming. A ghost taking out someone who didn't even know ghosts existed. Clean, simple, done. That's how it always worked before, except you turned your head at the exact right moment. You changed your route for no logical reason. You canceled plans that would have put you in the perfect position, not because you knew, but because something deeper than consciousness was protecting you. Something they couldn't account for in their perfect equations. The hitman noticed immediately. Professionals know when luck runs too deep to be luck, when coincidence stops being coincidental, when the universe itself seems to bend around someone. They've seen protected targets before, but this was different. This was something else entirely. They tried again, new approach, new angle, new method. You walked through it like it was rain, not dodging, not hiding, just existing in a way that made their plans dissolve. They watched you from across the street and felt something they'd never felt in 2 decades of taking lives. Fear. Not of failure. Fear of what you were. You want to know what breaks a professional killer? It's not close calls or near misses. They live for that adrenaline. What breaks them is when they realize the fundamental rules of reality don't apply to their target. When they understand they're not dealing with a human playing by human rules. The third attempt was when they started leaving notes for their handler. Target exhibits anomalous behavior, recommend abort, but contracts don't get aborted. Not at their level, not with their reputation. So they pressed on, even as their hands started shaking for the first time in 20 years. You started appearing in their dreams. Not nightmares exactly, something worse. Dreams where you knew they were coming, where you turned and looked directly at them through the scope, where you smiled like you were waiting for them to finally understand the joke. They'd wake up in cold sweats, checking their locks, wondering who was really hunting who. By the 4th attempt, they were taking pills to sleep. Their perfect record, their flawless methodology, their ice-cold professionalism, all melting away. Because every time they got close, reality would shift. You'd be somewhere impossible, do something unexplainable. Survive something unsurvivable. They started keeping a journal, not mission notes, something else. Ramblings about how you moved through crowds like water, how electronics glitched when you passed, how animals went silent in your presence, how the air itself felt different in rooms you'd left. The writing got more frantic as weeks turned to months. Day 47, target walks through the kill zone. 12 different angles covered, perfect visibility. Finger on trigger. Couldn't pull, not wouldn't, couldn't. Like my hand belonged to someone else. Like the universe said no. What is this thing wearing? Human skin? Day 63. Saw target in 3 different locations simultaneously. Not possible. Checked all feeds. Timestamps confirm. Same clothes, same moment, 3 different cities. Handler thinks I'm losing it. Maybe I am. Maybe that's what it wants. Day 79, target knows, has always known. This isn't a hunt, it's a test. I'm being studied, measured, found wanting. 20 years of perfect kills, and I'm the one being dissected. God help me, I think it's enjoying this. You know what happened next, because you were there. Not hiding, not running, just living your life. While one of the world's most dangerous humans slowly unraveled trying to understand what you were. They started making mistakes, leaving traces, getting sloppy. Other professionals in their network started noticing. The whispers began. Did you hear about Zero? Lost their edge. Can't close a simple contract. Target must be connected, protected, important. But the truth was so much worse than protection. The truth was you didn't need protection. They tried to warn their replacement, tried to explain what they'd seen, what they'd felt, what they'd learned. But how do you explain that someone exists outside the rules? How do you tell another predator that there's something wearing human form that makes the food chain irrelevant? The net pack stands real. The replacement lasted 3 days before they quit. Just walked away from a 7-figure contract without explanation. Then another tried. Then another. Each one lasting less time than the last. Each one leaving with the same haunted look. The same whispered warnings. Don't take this job. That's not a person. That's not prey. That's something else. But the original Hitman couldn't let it go. Pride, obsession, or maybe just the need to understand what had broken them so completely. They decided on one final attempt. Not professional anymore, personal. They needed to look you in the eye and understand what had destroyed everything they thought they knew about the world. So they approached you directly. No weapons, no plan, just a broken professional walking up to their target in broad daylight. You remember that moment, how they looked like they'd aged a decade in months, how their hands trembled, how their voice cracked when they spoke. What are you? That's all they asked. And you just looked at them, really looked at them. Not with anger or fear or even recognition. You looked at them the way someone looks at a moth flying too close to a flame, with something between pity and inevitability. They collapsed right there, not from any attack, from understanding, from finally seeing what they'd been hunting, from realizing that some people aren't meant to be touched by ordinary violence. that some souls burn too bright for normal darkness to swallow, that some beings exist in this world but aren't entirely of it. The letters they left behind became legend in certain circles. Not suicide notes, worse. Warnings, testimony, the ramblings of someone who'd touched something beyond their comprehension and lived to regret surviving. Every professional who reads them gets the same chill. To whoever takes this contract after me, don't. I've killed presidents. I've ended bloodlines. I've erased names from history. But this one is protected by something that doesn't have a name. Every time you aim, the universe blinks. Every plan you make, reality laughs. I've watched them walk through death like it was rain. I've seen them exist in impossibilities. I've felt my skills, my training, my very purpose dissolve in their presence. This isn't a target. This is a test. And we all failed before we even began. Tell my handler I'm done. Not with this contract. With everything. Some doors aren't meant to be opened. Some people aren't meant to be touched. I'll spend whatever years I have left trying to forget what I learned. Don't make my mistake. Some things wearing human faces aren't human at all. Word spread through the underground like wildfire. The untouchable contract. The target that broke zero. Professional killers. People who'd laugh at death started refusing jobs. Not from fear of dying. From fear of what happened to those who survived trying. Your name became a whisper in certain rooms. Not spoken aloud, written in code, passed along with warnings. If this name comes across your desk, burn the contract. Don't ask why. Don't investigate. Just walk away and be grateful you still can. An entire network of professionals, built over decades, started fracturing. Because if someone like you existed, what else was out there? What other impossibilities walked among them? What other rules were actually suggestions? The very foundation of their dark trade cracked because one person couldn't be killed. Some tried to rationalize it. Hidden technology, government protection, supernatural nonsense. But the ones who'd gotten close knew better. They'd felt it. That presence that made hardened killers feel like children afraid of the dark. That wrongness that said this person shouldn't exist, but did anyway. And shouldn't exist, but did anyway. The original hunter? They're still alive, if you can call it living. They work at a bookstore now. Minimum wage. Peaceful. They flinch when customers approach too quietly. They avoid mirrors. They never turn their back to doors. But mostly, they try to forget. Sometimes they wake up screaming your name, not from nightmares about failing, from dreams where they succeeded, where they actually managed to end you, and what happened next, what crawled out of your corpse. What looked back at them with eyes that weren't eyes. What spoke with a voice that made reality hiccup. They sent one last message to their old handler, one final report, target terminated. A lie that let them disappear. Let them pretend the world made sense. Let them live whatever years remained without admitting that some people can't be killed because they're not entirely alive in ways we understand. But late at night, when the store is empty and shadows grow long, they still whisper to themselves, still repeat the mantra that keeps them sane. It was just a person, just luck, Just coincidence. Just a failed contract. Nothing more. Please, let it be nothing more. Here's the part you never knew. Every attempt on your life made you stronger. Not metaphorically, literally. Each bullet that missed carved new pathways in reality. Each poison that failed to take hold taught your cells new immunities. Each trap that didn't spring wrote new laws around your existence. You weren't born untouchable. You were made untouchable by everyone who tried to touch you. Every predator who stalked you added another layer to your armor. Every weapon aimed at you made you more weapon-proof. Every plan to end you made your ending more impossible. The Hitman understood this near the end, saw the pattern in their failures, realized they weren't trying to kill someone protected by luck or fate. They were trying to kill someone who grew stronger with each attempt, someone who fed on the violence directed at them and transformed it into something else. That's why they really quit. Not from fear of you, from fear of what they were creating, what you were becoming with each failed attempt. They saw the trajectory, understood where it led, knew that if they kept trying, they'd eventually create something that didn't just survive assassination attempts, but something that made death itself negotiable. Even now, there are those who watch you, not to harm, to understand, to document, to try to figure out what glitch in reality created someone who walks through violence like others walk through air. They keep their distance, take their notes, wonder if you're the first or just the one they noticed. Some think you're an evolution, the next step, what humans become when pushed far enough. Others believe you're an anomaly, a cosmic accident, a breathing impossibility that shouldn't exist, but does. A few whisper that you're something else wearing human form, playing a game none of them understand. But they all agree on one thing. You can't be killed by conventional means. Maybe not by any means. The hitmen with 0 failures proved that. Broke themselves against you like waves against a cliff. Discovered that some people exist beyond the reach of ordinary violence. And the truly terrifying part, you might not even know what you are. Walking through life, surviving the unsurvivable, being untouchable without trying, just existing in a way that breaks professional killers and makes reality stutter. Just being yourself while the universe bends around you. In certain circles, your story is told in whispers. The target who broke 0, the contract that ended careers, the person who proved that not everyone plays by the same rules. Not everyone exists in the same reality. Not everyone can be touched by those who touch others. New professionals are warned about you, shown the journal entries, given the testimonies, told about the ones who tried and what happened to them. Most think it's an urban legend, a cautionary tale, until they see the fear in the eyes of those telling it, until they recognize the specific type of broken that comes from touching something incomprehensible. My dear, you've become more than a person. You've become proof. Proof that the world isn't what they thought, that the food chain has exceptions, that some people exist outside the natural order, that being a perfect predator means nothing, when your prey exists in a different category of being, and somewhere in a small bookstore, a former hitman still jumps when the door chimes, still checks shadows, still wonders what you really are, still whispers to anyone who'll listen, tell them he's not human. Not because they hate you, because they need others to understand, need others to know that some contracts should never be accepted. You move through the world unburdened by the knowledge of how many times you should have died, how many perfect shots missed by millimeters, how many poisons your body rejected, how many accidents you walked away from. The universe conspires to keep you breathing, and you don't even notice. Every professional who studied you noticed the patterns, how probability bent around you, how statistics became suggestions, how the impossible became inevitable when it meant your survival. They had names for it: anomalous probability, reality distortion, target-specific physics, fancy words for this person cannot be killed. But here's what scared them most. You weren't trying. You weren't dodging or hiding or fighting back. You were just living, existing, being. And that existence itself was enough to break every plan, counter every method, survive every attempt. Not through skill or luck, but through something fundamental. I think reality itself has marked you as essential, as necessary, as something that must continue regardless of who wants otherwise. The Hitman saw this, understood it, realized they weren't fighting a person, but arguing with existence itself about whether you should continue, and existence always won. After your case, everything changed in their world. New protocols were established, new categories created. Some targets were marked extreme caution, others government protected. But a new classification emerged, written in red, spoken in whispers. Anomalous. Do not engage. You're the only name on that list so far. The only confirmed case of someone who exists outside normal parameters. The only target that breaking isn't just difficult or dangerous, but seemingly impossible, not through protection or skill, but through something else. Something that makes bullets curve and poisons fail and plans crumble. Young professionals laugh at the classification. Call it superstition. Say the old guard is getting soft, until they read the files, see the evidence, watch the footage of attempts that should have worked but didn't, read the testimonies of those who tried, feel that cold creep up their spine as they realize the world has things in it they don't understand. And somewhere, you're living your life unaware of the legendary status you've achieved in the darkest corners of the world. Unaware that your name is spoken like a warning, that your existence has rewritten rules in places that don't officially exist, that you're proof of something bigger than anyone wants to admit. The Hitman left one final document, not for their handlers or replacements, for you. Though they knew you'd probably never read it, knew you might not even know they existed, but they needed to write it, needed to put into words what breaking against you taught them. To the one who cannot be killed. I spent months trying to end you, used every skill, every trick, every advantage built over 20 years. I failed not because you were better, but because you exist in a way that makes my skills irrelevant. Like trying to stab water, like trying to shoot the wind. Power to know what you are. Don't know if you know what you are, but I know this. Some people are touched by something bigger, protected by laws deeper than physics. You're one of them, maybe the only one. Maybe the first of many. Either way, you changed everything, broke everything, just by being. I should hate you. You ended my career, my purpose, my understanding of the world. But I don't. I'm grateful. Grateful to know that there are exceptions, that the universe has wild cards, that not everything can be reduced to bullet trajectories and poison dosages. You gave me proof of magic in a world I thought had none.